Hey, this is Jason Morris here with Real Estate Agents to Really Work, and I'm on this call here with Stephen Hughes. And if you really like these calls that we've done, and we've talked about Stephen's business and just real estate business in general, hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to Stephen's YouTube channel. And anyway, comment any questions you have, and I'll be glad to answer them the best way I can, or maybe Stephen will come on and answer them. And look forward to hearing from you guys. So I was texting with Stephen a little bit earlier today, and me and Stephen, we've been talking about expireds between ourselves, right? And Stephen, so Stephen, I'll tell people what I've normally done, right? And now I'll let you tell them what you've got going on right now that's been working out for you. So in the past, I was always, you know what? I was always an agent that I would sit there and make phone calls, pick up the phone, call expireds. I'd subscribe through RedX, and get all their expired data and stuff. And then I would sit there and make calls, right? Redix gives you some emails, and I've done some emails out, created some email databases and stuff like that too with their stuff. But basically, my primary way of contacting these people and getting the listings was to just hammer out on the phones. The ones I talked to that wanted to do something, man, I stuck them in my list wanting to do something, and I followed up with them like crazy. That was the gist of it. But Stephen, you've got a little different approach, to what you're doing right this minute. And I tell you what, why don't you tell us about it?
No, man, I'll tell you, I've gotten kind of cheap in my business. I just really wanted to cut down cost, and the dialer and with lead aggregation, I mean, they're several $100s a month, and also one of the things that I have seen that is interesting is we just don't have many expired still, even though the market has changed. And
Yeah.
When I used to make calls, only maybe a quarter of those numbers were correct. Say maybe half. It just depends. Let's say 50% of them are right. Well, then if the 50% of that are right, but if you have that 50%, how many of those people actually pick up the phone? Like maybe 1 out of 10.
Yes.
And
so the reason that is because this is mined data. There's nowhere out there on the internet where people are going, hey, my house just expired with agents. Let me go input my phone number and, let it get sent out to everybody. Expired data is basically mined from databases using algorithms and stuff. So the idea that you're going to get 100% correct numbers, it isn't going to necessarily happen ever. And the idea that you'll get more than that say 30 to 50% is real tough, but that's not what you're doing. That's not what you're focused on right now, is it?
No, I mean, what I'm focused on with it is I decided, what if I start talking to the listing agents instead? Because what I started also finding out with expireds is so many of them were actually withdrawn or canceled, or they expired, but it had already sold, but they never changed an MLS, or it's new construction. I mean, out of so many expireds, they immediately relist or they're already sold. I'm like, what if I just skip the seller altogether and I just talk immediately to the agent? So basically, I just send a message to the agents with a video I made that says, hey, I saw your listing expired. If you're open-minded, I have a business proposal for you. And I sent them this video that says, hey, if you're not going to relist it, refer that seller to me and I'll pay you a referral fee, because maybe they're not happy with you or you don't want to work with them again. But wouldn't you rather make a referral fee on my commission instead of $0? So it's really interesting. And I haven't had anyone get mad at me because I'm pretty upfront in my video where I'm like, hey, please don't tell me to bring a buyer or get mad at me. I'm not contacting your client. If you're not interested, you can ignore it. But I had, of course, here at the first and the second of the month, we had like 150 expireds across my MLS. And I messaged everyone and I got a few leads from it. They're just trying to follow up the seller to see if they can put me in contact with the seller. And if I get that listing, then they get a referral fee. It's pretty straightforward. It's a lot less time than being on the dialer. And honestly, it it's less work.
Yeah. So you're basically you're going out there and messaging or emailing or texting the listing agent and basically going, hey, will you send me the seller's information? Would you? That's basically the gist of it, right?
Yeah, basically.
And let me ask you this, and I already have a reason I know in my head on why I would do it as a listing agent, but why do you think they're willing to do that with you?
Why are they willing to put me in contact with the seller and pay a referral fee? Is that your question?
Yeah, why are they willing to why do you think? Because I know other agents are thinking this right now. Why would I give another agent my client's name and number? Um,
Well, I'll tell you what my opinion is. I'm not sure if it's what you're thinking, but a lot of them don't have many deals and they really need a paycheck. And they're like, okay, I have a day job. I can't really devote time to this client. I failed. Their emotions and anxiety is so upset, but they need the money. So they're like, okay, I'm going to outsource it because at least I'll get paid. I don't have to do anything. That's my take on it.
Dude, I think that's a big one there. But you know what, man? I've had this over the years. It's probably just having been around this business and in this business for forever. Dude, sometimes I've had listings expire that honestly, man, what was not my fault, right? Like a dude, I can think of one right now. The dude is a police officer, works at the courthouse. I listed his mom's house, and dude, we got I did a 90-day listing with him. This was a few years back. Did a 90-day listing with him. We got a contract like on day 3. Man, I swear to God, these people drug us out literally like 3, 4, 5 months and did not close, right? And dude, they didn't relist the property with me. And it really didn't have much to do with me. It was just by the time when when we first put it on the market, they were having issues within the family. Parents died. They needed to sell the house because of nobody in the house really wanted. Nobody really in the family wanted it or wanted to buy everybody else out. And they were all having, it was a tough time of the year for all of them. Now, by the time that 3, 4, 5 months happened, um, everybody was in a little different position as far as, who wanted to buy grandma and granddad's house sort of thing, right? But at the same time, they didn't relist with me, and them not relisting with me really wasn't my fault. It really was just, hey man, they were just tired of the process or felt like they needed to change. I had some a while back, man, where I was representing a partnership. Partnership split up. Person A, I was really close with and really tight with, right? I'd put the deal together, sold it to person A, got a couple other partners, put a partnership together to buy it, right? So when they split up the last units in the partnership, um, part of the guys who they liked me, they were friends with me. We went to lunch and dinner and all kind of stuff together, but they felt like they should go a different direction, right? Than relisting those extra units with me. And honestly, it had nothing to do with me. It really had more to do with their partnership breaking up and me continuing to represent person A, right?
Right.
Than it did anything about them listing or not listing, their couple of places they ended up with me, right? And at the time, I guess I was that particular deal. I was a lot younger agent, man. That was probably in 2006, 2007, but I was a lot younger agent. And honestly, man, I wish I would have had that, back then. And even now, a lot of agents think, man, I got to protect my business, and those people are my people and stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And I
yeah.
guess I had that sort of mentality back then. But what I should have done was said, hey guys, look here. I understand the situation you're in. I got some other friends that work at different offices, third parties and stuff that I've worked with their clients. They've worked with my clients, similar situations, man. Great agents. I should have talked up another agent and sent them to that other agent and got a referral rather than just let them go off in the world and in the wild. And I made $0 off of their units on a deal that I put together. Right. I should
Right.
have done that. Right. But, and this probably experience, sometimes I know I've had listings that, dude, I just did not get along with that person. just, man, we had a personality clash, and they would not do what they they would not do what I wanted them to do because it was me. You know what I mean? And
Oh, I know.
you know what, dude? I butted heads with them and stuff, and I got tired of butting heads with them. And what I did was I called another agent, said, "Hey, I got these clients here. Let me send them to you." I sent them to them. I got paid a commission still for the work that I'd put in to begin with, and I didn't have to deal with those people that were a pain in the ass anymore. And I mean, there's God, there's so many reasons. Um, so when you're contacting these people, do you have like a unique selling proposition that you're making that other agent or is it just like, is it, hey, Steven, Jason Morris here. Hey man, send me that listing. Hey, send me that listings number over here, man. I saw it expired. I'll give you 25% when we sell it. Is it, or is there something unique you're telling these
Um, I have a video, so they watch the video. It's like 3.5 minutes, and it basically like, hey, I'm sorry it expired. I don't know why it expired. Um, but here's the thing: maybe they're upset, or maybe you don't want to work with them anymore because they're difficult. I actually give them a couple of scripts. I'm like, look, this is what you say to them to get it to work. So you then can refer me and then you get the referral. Because sometimes, they may not want to talk to you because they don't believe you, but like say they're really mad at you. I say, look, I know it's a little bit of humble pie, but you sit there and say, hey, I'm so sorry this expired. I know you're upset. You probably don't want to work with me again, but let me at least help you by getting you someone who's going to do a really good job. That way you can still sell your house because I know you need to sell it. Let me introduce you to Steven. So I have a couple scripts in there. And I tell them like, hey, I will help you convince them. It's not going to just be, oh, send my name to them and then we work it out because that's not going to work. We will work together to make sure they sign with me so you can get that referral. I
Of
think
course.
that's unique.
And I think so too, man. I think it is unique in the sense that, hey, Stephen, look, I know you got this client you've had a little difficulty with. Let me help you help them. Let's work together on this. Would you like to work
Yeah,
together? And dude, I think that's a great idea. And you know what? Not all agents are going to be open to this. A lot of agents focus on all the no's they're going to get, right? Where,
right.
man, if you email out or you text out or email out 100 of these listings, every say 2 months, whatever, 3 months, depending on how many you got in your market, dude, you're probably going to get one or two responses, aren't you?
Yep. I mean, out of the 150, a lot of them did respond. It's like, oh, we already sold it. We just it's sold or it's still under contract, which is expired before it could sell. Um, Kind of like the story you told earlier, where the buyers are
Yeah,
taking forever. One, it was just like, hey, we actually pulled it off market because the seller died, which is an awful thing to hear. But life happens on these too. It isn't just like, oh, the
dude,
agent
sure does.
sucked. I mean, sometimes it's just life happened and it just they couldn't sell it. So yeah, I mean, I got a lot of those responses. Out of the 150 though, I only got one person that didn't watch the video and got kind of an attitude. And I was
Yeah,
just like, and I actually said to him, I was like, it's very obvious you didn't watch the video because you're just giving me a canned response, you know. And I did call him out on it because, but that's the thing though. One of the things you have to realize is sometimes it expired because the agent doesn't answer the phone or text, or
oh
they
yeah,
don't actually look at stuff. And
of
here's the
course.
thing, like there's some of them you can't get a hold of. And I just have to remind myself, well, that must be the reason the home didn't sell. He doesn't know how to answer the phone.
Yep, dude. You know what,
It's
man?
a
I
real
had one.
thing.
Oh, dude, it's a real thing. I had one this was a few years ago that just comes to mind. This dude had a listing. I had a client that I'd sold a property to before. The dude had cash money, and this was back when houses were a lot cheaper. It was like $150,000 house, right? And dude, I tell you what, man, the agent that was the listing agent of this house, I do not know why my client picked this house or what the deal was, but we looked at four other ones in the same neighborhood with the exact same floor plan, and he kept going back to this one specific house, right? That was the exact same, dude. They were all the same. They were like it was a track builder built them back in mid 2000s, around 2007, 2008, and literally, I mean, The only thing that was different was the color of vinyl siding, you know?
Right.
But for some reason, man, this dude liked this specific house. And man, guy was in town for like 3 or 4 days. We went to this house every single day, and the house was vacant. We went over there, and this dude looked through the windows every single day. And I bet I made 25 calls to that agent. And literally, what ended up happening was I ended up, guy goes back home 2 or 3 days later. Guy calls me and he goes, "Hey, man, I've still been thinking about that house. What can we do?" And I said, "Man, I've left this guy like 20 messages. I can't get him on the phone. I've even called his office asking him to give me a call." He said, "Well, I tell you what, let's write up an offer contingent on viewing in 48 hours." And back then you could do that. Market was a little slower. We'll see things like that here again soon. And he said, contingent on viewing within 48 hours. He goes, "If they accept it, man, I'll get in the car and drive down right away." And he said, "If they don't, hey, no worries. And I'll keep looking. Maybe the guy will call you back next week. Maybe he's sick or something." Right. Dude, we submit an offer, 42-hour expiration time. You know what I mean? Giving them plenty of time to respond to it, plenty of time to get it. I end up having to send it to the dude's broker in charge. Right. And finally, like 3 or 4 days later, after the offer expired, the guy pops up and he's like, "Hey, man, seen you made an offer on the house." I was like, "Yeah, we did like almost a week ago now." Thanks for calling me back. And anyway, I ended up selling the house. But dude, like, the only reason I even dealt with it was because I had this client that was a pre-client guy. Me and the guy had been really, really friendly. And essentially at that point, the dude was a friend of mine. And the guy had cash, and he was not interested in any other house, any other community. It was like 132 something. I can't remember the address, but that was the only damn house this dude wanted. And just it was, he ended up getting it. But literally, I got the contract signed, and I don't know if the guy maybe worked at night. I don't know what his deal was, but literally, I got the contract signed, sent it over to the attorney, sent him all the attorney's information, and I never heard from the listing agent again during the entire transaction.
It's amazing.
And I mean, if it wouldn't have been for my client calling me and me just following up with this guy just any way I could, that house would probably not sold. It would have expired with him for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude. And I mean, that's one story, but I mean, if I sat there and thought about it, in almost 20 years of selling real estate, I probably got 25 more stories just like that.
Oh, I bet you do.
And dude, you know what? I listed one a while back, man. I'll tell you this quick story and we'll wrap up. Listed one, this was a while back. Thing had expired 3 times off MLS. And I was looking at it. It was a small home, but it was a great like starter home sort of thing, right? And it was real reasonably priced. I mean, I was like scratching my head going, "Man, this thing looks like it's priced well." And anyway, I talked to the seller on the phone. We had a great conversation. I'd set a listing appointment. And I mean, I'm doing this research and I'm like, "Dude, why is this thing expired 3 times?" Like I'd be the 4th agent to relist it. And so I call her back and I said, "Hey, I'm doing a little research." And I said, "I just wanted to talk to you a minute." I said, "Your house has been listed with 3 other agents." And I said, "I'm trying to figure this out before I come out there. I'm kind of wondering why. Like, is there an issue or a problem that maybe they said?" And she goes, "No, my house, I've been living here. It could use a little updating, could use a little bit of work. It's been lived in. Older house been lived in." I said, "Okay, no problem." I said, well, what happens when you get a showing?" Asked her if she had any feedback. And she goes, "No, I don't have any feedback." She goes, "But a lot of people just pull up in the yard, then they turn around and leave." And she goes, "I'm taking time off from work to run home and unlock the door, and I'm doing this and this and this," and real frustrated with it. I said, "Okay." I said, "When I get there, we'll see if we can figure it out." Man, racked my brain, looked through all the listing stuff. I mean, nothing noticeable, right? Until I got to the house, Stephen. I get to the house, man. I pull up, I'm sitting out in my car. I go to get out and I look across the yard, and this woman had a bull massive dog. And this thing was damn it massive, dude. This dog must have weighed 150 pounds. He looked like a small horse, dude. And this dog is raising hell at me, right? And he's probably maybe 100 feet away. And I mean, honestly, man, I'm typically not scared of dogs, but I was not going to be, I was not wanting any part of this dog, right? His head was as big as my steering wheel. And so I sit back in my car, called the lady, and I said, "Hey," I said, "I just pulled up. You know, I see your dog out here." I said, I didn't know if he was friendly or not friendly. She's, "Oh, he's a teddy bear." And she comes out, pets the dog, and dog smells on me and smells my dog and all that stuff. And anyway, turned out the dog was super friendly, man. But I'll tell you this, man, walking through the woman's house, this dog was right on my heels, man. The dog was so big, he had a basketball that was a little bit deflated that he'd carry around in his mouth, dude. And when we sat with the listing paperwork, this dog sat beside me on the floor and laid his head in my lap, right? Wanted me to rub his head. Now, that was my experience with the dog, right? But I'm gonna tell you this: if I'd have pulled up at that same house, we pull up, you got this giant damn dog coming out of nowhere, barking and raising hell. I mean, he's big enough that an adult could ride him just about, right? I would not have wanted to get out with my clients. No way. If my clients wasn't seriously interested when we pulled up in the yard, dude, I would have backed out and we would have left with no problems. So what I ended up doing is I told the lady, I said, "Hey, look here." I said, "I think I know what's happening." She goes, "What's that?" I told her, I said, "It's your dog." I said, "He's super friendly. I understand it." I said, "However, not everybody knows that." And I told her the story I just told you. If I pulled up there with clients, that dog was barking like that. My clients wasn't interested just from outside curb appeal, and I'd put my car in reverse and I'd leave. And you know what, man? We figured something out with the dog. And she got like a little dog cage that she put outside. And whenever the house was being shown, she went and put this giant dog in this dog cage. And dude, I had a contract on the house in like 3 or 4 weeks. And this was when the market was really slow and we got full price. We sold it when everybody else couldn't. But the problem wasn't the price, wasn't the condition of the home, wasn't anything except for, man, this crazy pet. This pet was keeping the home from selling. Wasn't the other agent's fault. I mean, it probably was. I mean, honestly, a lot of agents don't have I guess the balls to say like, "Hey man, do something with your dog. Your dog's why we can't sell your house." Um, but at the same time, maybe they did, and she just didn't want to. She didn't want to be a part of it, right?
Right.
Um, so so anyway, man, just because you guys are out there looking at expireds, price isn't the reason it always expires. Actually, a lot of times price isn't the reason. But anyway, Stephen, hey man, you got anything you want to add to the call here and tell people how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, YouTube, just look up Stephen Hughes, a hardship real estate pro, give it a like and subscribe. Otherwise, the only other thing I tell people is you're going to have to prospect some of these old school methods alongside a niche. And that's how you're going to be full time. List the last, all the things you hear. It's true.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, hey man, I appreciate you doing this call with me, man. And I hope everybody learned a little something from it. And hey, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go look Steven up, subscribe to Stevens, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. See ya.